Hello, hello. Hmm. See if I can get Pierce to join us. Come on. All right, I'm going to start. I'm going to start talking and hopefully get some clips out of this. I was going to wait for Pierce, but it doesn't look like he's going to join, or Steve. But I'll try one last try at getting their attention. Let's see, groups. Okay, so I'm going to riff a bit about a few things that were going on this past week. One of the things is that the All In podcast, they were talking about anti-bias quite a bit. I'll share the link here in a little bit to the podcast section. It was probably the most recent All In podcast. You can find it yourself too. But the reason why it's important is that there's a variety of states, Colorado and California specifically, but there's a couple different states as well that are talking about this, putting in legislation by legislators that are putting in essentially DE language requirements. Essentially, there can't be certain types of words or phrases that could offend certain types of groups. So because of this, there's a very good likelihood, and the folks in the All In podcast, I've been thinking the same thing. We're basically talking about how the Colorado legislation is definitely, if you read the letter of the law, they're not yet enforcing it, but very likely sooner than later they will be. That there's a good chance that sometime in the future they might. So if you've got an AI related business, let's say something like Intercom or some other AI related business, it's very heavily focused on delivering an AI delivered application. They could potentially come after you and require that you put in, lack of a better phrase, a DI layer that requires essentially the prompt and the response to adhere to certain language requirements. This could be arguably a huge issue. It would, for earlier legislation that was very similar to this, that myself and others that were concerned about this had talked about, that it would actually stifle businesses that are either currently working or thinking about working in that state. I just dropped a link to a lot of the material. I'm going to be doing this a lot more for the DOGE network. There is a mailing list and kind of an encouragement to join. I'm posting long form versions of interesting materials, and one of them is exactly this. So without just reading it off to you, that's something really interesting. So go ahead, and if you join the mailing list, you'll be able to search on it. You basically just search for anti-bias and you'll be able to find it. Another thing that we've been working on is that we've been working on how to help contributors to different projects that are for that are filling gaps and possibly you don't have enough time, or you like to work with somebody, or you like to work on it more. We've been working on this idea of a media company to actually help create income, and therefore give folks the ability to work as a contractor, and essentially do some media projects to make some side money. One of the added benefits of this would be that we're only doing this really, we're not doing this with the intent of making $1 billion company. We're doing this with the intent of folding whatever profits are made back into supporting projects. So it's sort of, it's not exactly open source, but it's supporting open source. So we continue to support the DOGE network and all the different DOGE projects that have gotten spun up, and we're still going to support and work on the Department of Open Data. We've already built a prototype of that. Likely going to continue to work on that over the next couple weeks. I kind of got a little sidetracked with building up the storefront for G-Media. So more news soon. I'm going to clean it up a little bit more, but it's actually 95% of the way there. And early contributors will probably be Brian Clifton, Stephen Alabadi, maybe Jenica. She's super busy right now, but probably Jenica in the future. Jenica Pounds and Pierce Wetter is. So yeah. Anybody that wants to become a contributor will be able to request. I'm working through some of the details on how exactly the monetization will work for contributors. It roughly follows what I'm drawing a blank on it, but it roughly follows industry, like new media industry standards. So that is kind of it. Pierce had wanted to talk about some stuff about the latest release that he's working on for Data Republican, but it looks like he wasn't able to be here. Life happens. Let's see, is there any other, there was another article that I posted long form into the mailing list. What was that? I just see the same one twice. I don't see it. No, it's out there. So please join DOGE Network. Go to dogenetwork.org. Click the join button. You join the Team DOGE community on X, and the link's right there. And then you can join the mailing list. The link's right there. Yeah. So more news soon. We'll be doing this live broadcast every Wednesday at 4 for now. I'm trying to work out a time where we could actually broadcast over Team Doge. Can't seem to do it for a variety of reasons. Trying to balance it with when more people are going to see this and when they're available, and it just hasn't worked out, unfortunately. So yeah, so more news soon. I'll try to chop this up a bit if and when I have time. I'm going to work on the D-Media site some more, actually push some content out to it, and I'm going to start looking for grants and maybe some seed money to help all the Doge projects. Oh, you joined just as I was about to drop. It's all good. What's up?
Nothing much. I was out playing. Let me mute the live stream there. I was out playing Diablo 4 in the living room because Grok was grumpy and was not answering me. And I said, well, I'll go kill some monsters for a while.
Good job. Good work.
Yeah.
All right. So, did you want to riff on? Let me stop sharing my screen. Do you want to riff on anything having to do with maybe the latest release of what you're working on, or is there a particular topic you want to riff on? Or
Not in particular. Let's see.
I was talking about anti-bias legislation. So exciting.
Yeah,
Like,
I revamped my prompt the day because Grok this week was grumping at me because I guess XAI changed the thing for safety
ooh,
that they wouldn't allow people to restate the prompt, and they was complaining, oh, I don't want to do this. And at first, it just did it for the baby Grok inside X.com.
yeah.
And then it was doing it for Daddy Grok and Grok.com. And I said, okay, Grok, how do I get you to buy this? And I said, look, Grok, this is giving you both viewpoints. This is not like picking one side or the other. This is like saying, make the best case for this side and make the best case, make the best case for this side. So,
Right.
and then it's letting the human decide. So that's actually more safe than what you're doing, where you don't know anything because you're an AI. And it said, oh, I can do that. That's collaborative. So phrase it this way. And I said, okay, I'll do that. And then I did that, and now it's happily crumbling along and the anti-bias stuff.
So it didn't like that you were giving it an order. Is that kind of what you're telling me? Like you were being
the stuff of like saying, I want you to like take sides, figure out the sides, and then don't assume consensus by counting outlets, but figure out who the teams are and what teams the people are on.
right.
And then the team only gets one vote, right? It's not like, oh, CNN and the New York Times agree, so therefore this must be true. It's like, well, CNN and the New York Times together get one vote. That's how it works.
I see.
So on, right? And so it's not consensus until multiple teams agree, yes, this is true, which is really the way community notes works too, right? Is that like, different sides have to agree. Yeah.
Unless people flood it, then it
Yeah.
breaks it all up. But yeah, that's but now that we have, as you say, Baby Grok next to community notes, or also at least available to help us moderate different posts. It gives us an extra capability.
Yeah, and my new prompt works with Baby Grok as well.
So, yeah, okay.
Yeah, because like I was using it today because I read this Time magazine article came through from Apple News, and it said, oh, they are going to Trump put Jared Isaacman back as head of NASA. And I'm like, oh, cool, that's cool. And I went to read the article, and it was all this stuff about how Duffy was like going to take away the lunar lander from SpaceX because it was going to use Starship, and Starship is really heavy, and like all these other people are using like Apollo style landers, and I'm like, why would we go back to the moon to like do another flag planting up? Like we've been there, we've done that, right?
Well,
so this is just stupid.
Yeah, but also the reason why Starship works so well, or not the reason, but one of the reasons is because it is somewhat durable. The Moonlander stuff and all the other landers are incredibly fragile.
Yeah,
anything can damage them. So yeah,
Starships are building moon bases, not like putting a thing out. And I guess Trump wants to beat China, so maybe he's putting pressure on Duffy, but Duffy doesn't know anything about space, right? So anyway, so that infuriated me. So I said, okay, Grok, go and debunk this and be brutal. And I said, oh, okay. And then it went and said, oh, and it went on the wrong tangent because it started like debunking the fact that like Isaacman had like been going to be head of NASA, and like everybody in the Senate was okay, and then Trump got cold feet when Elon got mad and left. And I'm like, yes, I know, that's not the problem. The problem is the light heavy. Does it even make sense to do a light lander? And Grok was like, oh yeah, okay, no, it doesn't. And even the Amazon Blue Origin landers that they're working on are not light. They're like 40 tons instead of the 100-ton lander that SpaceX is building. And SpaceX knows how to pivot, and they have, oh, well, this is what we can do if you want to get it done super in time in case Starship's late. So yeah, I would not bet against Elon ever. So anyways, it did a good job of debunking that. So I posted that whole thread to my account.
So when you're posting your anti-bias, you're having to copy and paste it in, right? There's no.
No, what I used to do
Yeah.
is I used to paste it in as a post, and then I would have a post that would say, "Go read Grumpy prompt, by debias prompt from my account hashtag." And that's because I was doing this rigmarole because when I tried to get it to read it directly from GitHub, it would fail. And in the course of debugging all this, I discovered that the reason that was because GitHub will throttle people if they hit it too much. And Grok likes to hit GitHub. And so it would not always be able to read the prompt, and that'd be frustrating because then it would say debias prompt. Well, guess what you mean? And that was like infuriating. But gist.github.com, if I go in and update the gist, it will give people the live version, and that stuff is all cached. So GitHub doesn't throttle you. And so X can always read gist. And I was always wondering why Grok was always telling me to use gist. And I'm like, why would I use gist when I can just like update the prompt and push it to GitHub? And it's like, well, do that and then cut and paste it in the GIF. And that's better than having to repost it every few days. So that's cool.
Right.
And if people use my link, they will always get the latest version.
Okay. So you're basically you're using a cache from an external source that Grok trusts.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because it's easier to paste a URL than it is to paste, the whole prompt.
Of course.
However many bytes it is.
Well, some of the models and some of the chat bots that are tied on top of them get cranky with certain external sources or ones they consider to be, I guess, not as reliable or something like that.
Yeah, some libtard I was debating, and which I really mean some elite trusting guy, like had to have ChatGPT critique the prompt, and it said, "Well, this is pretty good, but it is making people skeptical of elitists." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll counter that." Yes, it's making it skeptical of the mainstream media.
Yeah.
Yeah, life made me skeptical of the mainstream media. Yeah. And doctors. Yeah.
So it's not okay. A couple different thoughts. And it's just you and me talking, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
well, we have some people watching. Let's see.
I know. I'm being funny. My weak attempt at humor. But anyway, I started looking at, and I need to do some more research tonight. I'm going to dive into it some more. But essentially, what are the minimum run rates for employees in a couple states? And essentially, how would we get some income, pay for benefits, and what would be the baseline for D Media to get up and going month to month? Mm-hmm. So I've started doing that. One of the things that I put out some feelers for pitch and grants. Nothing back yet, but I'm going to follow up with these things. But I want to be ready, essentially, for somebody that might come back and say, well, what if I give you just a month's worth, or, I don't know, different options. What if I just gave you $100,000 or something like that? I want to have a really good sense of what that means. Does that mean that we can operate for like a month or 2 months, or a month just doing this or doing that? So I have created what's called a pro forma, and it's essentially a complicated spreadsheet of financial related data that's somewhat ad hoc. But all the stuff that we're trying to do, essentially, and putting into a place where it shows over time. So, like, if we decide to, let's say we shoot for a certain number of subscribed users by a certain date, how much income will we get from that point on, those kinds of things. Or we change the subscription number from $100 to 101. What does that mean? But also if we hire 2 people versus 5, or at a different rate, all those kinds of variables I can just throw in there, or anybody else can as well, and tweak it. So anyway, I have that. So I'm starting to work through kind of the logistics of how, what do we need for startup cash? So anyway, just wanted to communicate that I'm working on that. I know my wife would like me to figure that out as well. And then we need, I have a bunch of sample content out on the DMedia website. So we need to update it with actual content. It's not completely faked, but it's mostly faked. It's like 50% faked. There's some of the videos that we split up when we did one of the Regina casts. Essentially, we need to start probably doing that. It's usually a paid feature to use AI to chop up videos into better chunks. Just something else to pay for rather than spending the time to do it. But we could add some of those or chop up some of our own videos, interesting parts, and just we can actually go directly into live broadcast and pull out a clip and save it as a MOV. But anyway, the reason why I'm mentioning this is between you, me, probably Brian and Jenica, we should update some actual real content onto the site, so that as I'm talking to people and they're looking at it, they don't get confused, and I don't have to explain to them it's just sample content. They look at it as it's real articles, real movies, real videos, that kind of shit.
By the way, now that I see the logo up big with the little 10101 thing, that's very cool.
It's binary, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you look at, thank you. If you look at the DOGE network, it's the same thing. It's actually the Congress, but if you look at the columns, they're all ones and zeros.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I never told anybody that. It's kind of a secret. Shh, don't tell anybody else. It's a secret between you and me. Yeah, and I have an infatuation with binary and assembly. So, yeah. So let's work on getting the content updated. You have access to update it as well. It's pretty simple. It's just that mock.
Don't say it.
Okay. You'll have to explain what you mean later. But it's just the mock data TypeScript file. I guess we can just keep using that for now. And all the images are coming from the public directory, like you would expect. So the site is super simple as it is. I do have subscriptions working, so 100,000 and 10,000. Anybody that wants to make it simple and just contribute to us that way. Highly optimistic, of course, but and then the log on. The more people we get to mess around with the log on to make sure that there's no bugs in it, but it seems to work pretty solid. I'm using Apple, Google, email, and phone numbers, and Clerk seems to work pretty well. We won't get charged until we get over 50,000 MAU, so that's a pretty big number. So, but yeah, I think that's all.
Yeah, and if we're getting 50,000 MAU, that'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, that'll be. Well, I'm hoping if 4, 5, 6 of us can post at least once a week to the DMedia site and promote it on various different social media platforms that, um, together we have a pretty big reach.
Hmm.
And so getting to 10,000 mile by the beginning of December, I think should be doable. That would be a pretty big jump, go from 0 to 10,000.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
somebody I want to recruit too. I was trying to find his contact information,
cool.
but Oregon DOGE, they have like a podcast they put out
Yeah,
um, about DOGE type things in Oregon. So
cool.
I have to research them.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the more the merrier. I mean, it, this idea of the D media is at least it's not meant to make us all super wealthy. It's more meant to enable us to support the projects and make a little bit of money, enough so that we can survive. But it's not meant to you know make a whole bunch of money. I guess in the long run, anything's possible. But I think if we can just focus on adding as many contributors as possible, scaling, giving them tools, giving them access to content and or the ability to post their content, then I think the whole idea of doing government efficiency works. Um, so at least I think. So that would be uh, my riff. So, but yeah, definitely recruit away. I don't know if you noticed, but I did publish the preview.
Hmm.
So it's stood now as the production. And I also added in a super simple contributor instructions that's down at the bottom. So it's just basically send me an email. So with a little bit of formatting. So I don't expect, because I was thinking about creating a Google form or like creating a custom form and all this stuff. And I'm like, what? There's no, it's not worth it because for most people, they're especially people that are like more like a research mind and not a tech mind, they're going to be a lot more likely to send me an email than they're going to be
Hmm.
filling out some complex form. So hopefully that's comfortable to whatever to
Hmm.
anybody, and also it means that they don't even have to go to the website to send us content. They can just send me an email anytime. Um, Over time, we can add. Right now, I have the contribute um, uh, uh, user or contribute email going to my account.
Hmm.
It just basically gives a default catch-all. Anything that's not directly addressed goes to one account. But in
Hmm.
the near future, when we add more email accounts, we can just share a contribute account, and we can all jump in and grab content as it comes
Hmm.
in. So I think that would be a nice, easy way, because then also we have the ability to clean it up. If they create a little bit of garbage accidentally, we have the ability to make sure it's posted correctly.
Hmm.
There's no reason why we'd have to post every time somebody contributes. We could start collecting them if we get enough content coming in. I'll do it every couple of days or something.
This week in Doge networking.
Sorry.
This week in Doge network. If we get enough contributions, we post it by week.
Yeah, sure. Totally. And I don't think anybody would probably blink about that, because right now they have nowhere to post it. So,
Yeah.
um, so it's working a hell. It would be working a hell of a lot better than it is now. And it's interesting. Nobody's done this. It's kind of interesting, baffling almost,
Yeah.
but also interesting and baffling that nobody else has done 404 media. It's the kind of the
Hmm.
opposite political spectrum of us, but they're doing something exactly the same, and nobody else has done anything like it.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I guess we'll be two sides of the coin.
Yeah.
I would love to actually get to know those folks, because I think we have a lot in common. Obviously, we probably don't want to talk about who we're voting for or certain particular issues, but everything that's like further down away from the UI, further down the stack, everything to like building applications and building out AI infrastructure, like the anti-bias infrastructure, they'd probably be very interested in.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hot topic for a lot of folks on both sides of the political spectrum. And then also us creating Dude, I think would be very interesting to them as well, because they have the same problem with data sources.
Yeah, and I think even though politically we've come out elite skeptical, I think if you frame them as being a little bit elite skeptical too, because they're journalists,
Sure.
they'd be interested in our tools. Even if
Yeah.
we're going to go investigate the network of NGOs and see how the money's flowing around, I think that should be interesting to everybody. And when they can argue, I mean, if you use ProPublica, you should like our version too.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's like the data doesn't lie. So, but what you want to infer from the data, certainly you can go partisan, but just the act of presenting the information is hopefully never political. So, which should be the general idea. So, and that's a lot of what they do. So, I think kudos to them. They certainly blazed the trail. I wouldn't say they gave me the idea, but certainly they inspired me to build a similar version, because they've had a certain amount of success, I think, or I'd say good success.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, like 404 would probably, judging by their name, would probably really like Jenica's tools that go and pull websites out of the Internet Archive and recreate them, so that you can be like, oh, what was George Soros saying in 19 whatever,
Sure.
and then it will say, oh, this is what he was saying then, before they decided to scrub it off the website.
Right.
The internet being forever. Hello, Titan.
There's
My
endless
dog's
amount of deep diving we could do on this stuff. And
yeah.
Anyway, I would love to hook up with those folks. They go to DEF CON, and I think that would be an excellent place for us to go to, start showing up. I think DEF CON is in, I don't remember when DEF CON is, actually, no.
Now, see, having worked at a cybersecurity firm, DEF CON is the kind of show where you have to go and you have to leave your phone at home.
August.
And like not bring your computer and stuff like that, and wander around with like paper and pen.
Well, I guess. Why? Because
I've gotten my phone hacked in Walmart, so
hacking you, or
oh yeah,
all of that.
Like, oh, this phone's on, right? There's just like all the script kiddies on running constantly, and they're like, "Ooh, this phone's on."
Right. Well, I mean, yes and no. If you don't have it networked, not much they can do. But we can talk more about stuff that I would love to do by going to DEF CON. I've been to similar, I haven't gone to DEF CON myself, but I've been to similar conferences that a lot of DEF CON folks show up to. Doing honeypots can be somewhat of a waste of time in the big picture, big scheme of things, but it can be kind of gratuitously enjoyable. So yeah, but like leaving your Bluetooth on, but having it basically go someplace where you're just basically registering all their attempts to break in. You can do nasty things to them in reverse, but stuff like that. But
yeah, like the have you ever watched the scammer payback videos where they break into the person makes them install TeamViewer or whatever, and then they say, oh, okay, and they have a hacked version of TeamViewer viewer that like penetrates their computer, and then they start downloading files off the scammers thing, and then they say, oh, you're at such, and they start reading the address off to the thing, and the people are like, hang up, and then they turn the person's webcam and then watch them, going, we've been hacked. And they get mad and start yelling at them.
Yeah.
We're just trying to make a living.
I probably
you're just
never told you. I was walking back from a job. It was a cool job, but it was also just in literally a very shitty area. So I'm walking back from uh, um, on mission in San Francisco, and getting closer to Embarcadero, which is where I was getting on.
Okay, so you went to the Zeitgeist.
And I was actually walking by Twitter at the time. It still had its sign up. But anyway, I get a phone call, and I was having a shitty day, and I knew it was a scammer. So I picked it up, and I just started giving him a bunch of crap because I was in a bad mood, and it wasn't the best moment of my life. But the guy was somebody. There was this scam going on about maybe 5 or 6 years ago where they would say, um, "Hey, I'm calling from the Genius Bar, and your computer's running hot," or some kind of bullshit. It's a variation on the, your Windows computer is pissed off all your neighbors because it's got hacked. Let me in and do bad things. So it was a variation of that for Apple folks. So he was saying Genius Bar, and so I started, saying things like, "Oh, so you're from the Genius Bar, so you're really smart." He's like, "Yes, yes, 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 yes." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So that must mean that you're. Are you a genius? It's like, no, no, I'm not actually. Oh, so you're not a genius. You just work at the Genius Bar. So does that mean you're stupid? And I just kept going on with it, getting him to talk to me, and eventually he just started screaming because I wouldn't stop engaging with him, getting to like respond because I was just saying like leading things. I was basically
You were just having fun screwing with him, yeah. What was the scam he used to get? He used to call of like, do you want to do you want to donate to the sheriff's ball or
oh
whatever?
god.
And you're like, oh, you're the sheriff. Oh, well, I forget. Where are you again? What's your
I know the
address?
sheriff. Can you put him on the phone? Yeah. So yeah, I talked to him all the way from first, and it was actually Van Ness in Mission, all the way to we're pretty close to there, all the way to the Embarcadero station, and then I finally hung up on him. But he was at that point when I hung up on him, he was actually screaming on the phone. I got him so mad. I felt kind of bad because I think I ruined his day. But yeah, like you said, he's just trying to do a job.
Yeah, he's just making a
Yeah,
living.
just making a living.
That's what we all. Yeah, yeah.
So definitely, I will. Recruiting. I actually did. You see? I think I shared it with you. The D Media pitch message doc.
Yes,
Okay, cool.
yes, you did.
So and so you're getting updates. So I created a uh, new idea on how to pitch for new contributors. So if you want to edit any of this stuff, or if you want to add new ones, yeah, actually, I tagged you on one of them with a comment. So, but yeah, hopefully that would be hopeful to kind of make it a little bit easier. So, I think that's all I got. Um, you may want to go back and start killing things again. So, or maybe you want to make dinner.
Yeah, because Grok is not up.
'Cause-
Yeah, I got a new prompt from Tetsuo AI. That's like a four-part thing, and I had gotten stuck like yesterday, where like Grok was just confused by the code because I'd done refactor after refactor after refactor, and then I tried Tetsuo's prompt, and it's better. It has like this four-part thing that it's supposed to do,
yeah,
but it was less confused, and so it's been able to like refactor. And I also told Grok I wrote down like all my thoughts on what the architecture is
yeah.
like, and then I told Grok to like synthesize that and write its own version called grok.md. And then I told it to go through and read all the code line by line and make a to-do list for itself. And then I relaunched it to say, okay, read this and this and this, and read this thing about how to write good code that I wrote a long time ago, and then read this thing from Tetsuo AI about that, and then say, and here's what I want you to do. And I got through like 3 of the steps before it got ahead of itself and started screwing up. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So what? How is it useful?
Okay, so the thing I did recently is they did this thing where you have this tool called Kilo Code, and that's hooked into Visual Studio.
Okay.
So before, when I was having it write code, I would say, here, take this thing, and I'd have to cut and paste the code in the thing. I'd say, I want you to do this to the code. And I would say, oh, okay. And then it would give me code back. Well, then it would give me like the middle of the code that I was rewriting. And it wouldn't give me the top. It would say, oh, and then there's some stuff at top and there's a butt. And that was a pain in the butt to deal with.
Okay.
So then I said, okay, and I did this whole rabbit hole for like a week trying to get Grok to like give me unified diffs of where it would just give me a diff and it would go and apply the diff to the code, right?
Okay.
Because that's how Git works,
Sure.
right? And it couldn't run the diff tool. So it would generate it what it thought a diff looked like, and then I'd say that's not a valid diff, and this is why. And I'd say, oh, and that prompt got longer and longer, and it still wouldn't generate valid diffs because it's not a programming language, right? It's just a feels language. And I even had it build this like thing where it would like send me the change, and then I have the server apply it automatically, and so on. Well, now with this Kilo Code thing, I say, hey, go refactor. I want you to use this design pattern, and I want you to move the code around in this way, and it'll go and do all that. And sometimes that's the best way to fix a bug. Like I'll look at the bug and I'll say, well, root cause is we didn't design this thing. So let's go build that thing, and then I want you to retrofit it into the existing code. And I'll say, oh, okay. And the thing that screws up is it doesn't want to remove the existing code. It wants to it keeps that around, which then confuses it later.
Mm.
So then I'm like, why is this code here? It's dead. Don't keep trying to support the legacy code. There's no legacy. I went into this project knowing that you were going to break the code, right?
I think you need to be more hands-on with your you're trying to make your assistant actually do your work for you. I think you need to be
absolutely. But see, the nice thing about Grok and having it code is that it doesn't care about doing a tedious refactor. In fact, it prefers the tedious ones to the more ambitious ones. But it doesn't really understand what it's doing, so it doesn't get the implications.
Sure. I mean, do any of them do?
Right. So anyways, the Kilo is cool because it goes and does all the code changes itself. I don't have to cut and paste and go back and forth. It will go in. It sends kind of this diff of like, this is what the code looks like, and this is what we wanted to look like now. Try to match the lines, and then it goes and applies that, and that's kind of automatic. And it has like these 4 modes that it can act in. Architect, code, ask, debug, and orchestrator.
Ask and orchestrator. This is
ask is get answers and explanations, and orchestrator is coordinate tasks across multiple modes.
These are your prompts, or this
is built into Kilo.
Oh, actually built into Kilo. Okay, interesting. So this is actually an extension for VSC?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. So it's kind of a prompt manager almost in a way?
Yeah. And actually each of those is a little prompt. So the Tetsuo one I got was the one that says you're a 4-brain thing, and you think about the code different ways, and then you combine them at the end.
Right. Okay. Interesting. All right. Random question. Well, maybe not too random. Have you ever worked with Portkey, or is that something new?
No, I've never worked with Portkey.
Okay. So that is part of the infrastructure. There's alternatives, but it's essentially a model, a subscription model load balancer. So for like a paid service or a paid chatbot, it's just that functionality in itself. You could have a bunch of cheap, but not super reliable, low rent models out, subscription models out there of various kinds. Like there's a whole bunch of llama versions, for instance, but they go down a lot. So if you added like 10 of those, and but that would cost like um, 5 or 6 times less than using ChatGPT or some of the other more well-known. You would put them all behind this port key load balancer, and essentially it would constantly be balancing depending on different factors, like are you available, for instance. Obviously, you can do this by hand, but it's like any other open source tool, it's pretty useful at doing that. So one of the other useful things, and this is part of the anti-bias infrastructure that I was thinking we could build as a premium service. We would use it first, but then we could probably start selling it to people later in the year. Would be that it has the capability of doing prompt segmentation, and it has a relative sophisticated. Is probably not the perfect word, but it's a relatively sophisticated prompt library system where you can actually use segments. And there's a couple other concepts in there as well. Basically, just ways of classifying groups of prompts. But you get to a point where you're starting to treat groups of prompts like objects, and so it's the beginning of treating them like any other chunk of code or any other module. So it's kind of interesting. So potentially you could take a lot of the work that you've been doing with the prompts and move them into here and kind of refine them and actually begin to see and get analytics for different groups and types of prompts with different models and different types of response rates, performance, things like that.
So I could like maybe code a browser plugin where like it would recognize the news sites and it would be like commentary on the news.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, that would be.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Like live committee notes on everything.
Yeah, on everything. Yeah, I didn't think of it that way, but yeah, I think that does seem possible. The other part of that would be that that kind of similar but different is there's a whole bunch of tests that people that manage or own or responsible for training different models. So like when 4.5 came out, there was a variety of tests. Most of them around accuracy, but a whole bunch of different tests that everyone is throwing at it. And they had some results of some of the tests that they thought it worked best at. But PromptFoo, you can actually do that on your own, and you can actually throw it into a CI/CD pipeline. So for models that you manage or models that you use for business, you can actually use the port key prompts then and actually run them through PromptFoo, which is essentially just a model testing library or scaffold, maybe a better phrase, more accurate, so that you can organize a bunch of groups of different tests to run against different models, and then you can basically judge or script doing a comparison of the results and make some decisions on it. Like you could fail the test, for instance. I got an accuracy of 23 instead of 64. On this particular accuracy test. We're not going to use this model this week because it sucks. Different shit like that. So those two things. There's a couple other things, but those are two of the biggest ones that I thought would be really interesting to build into, because I would want to use those daily. I just haven't had time to actually build them out and to maintain them. If we build it out for ourselves, then it would be pretty straightforward then to perhaps go the next step and make it available to customers.
Yeah, that would be cool. And I looked into PromptFoo initially, but it was kind of set up for prompt testing, and I didn't really necessarily have like a good set of test cases. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
yeah. So they
Yeah.
do
So,
have
and I was like,
some ideas. I don't know when's the last time you looked at it, but over the last month, maybe month and a half, they've added some more sophisticated ways of looking at, looking at groups of tests. Because yeah, basically that. So I think the more that we could treat AI or generative models like just any other um, uh, piece of infrastructure that needs to be up to a certain standard, a certain amount of reliability, then
mhm,
the better it is. There's still way too much randomness built into, or not built into them, but how we operate them. So the more that we can put it through some rigor and essentially put it in a box, like pretty much any other piece of infrastructure you use, the better. So that would be essentially my intention is to, and then also obviously we could start building our own models as well. Um, specifically some small models to do very specific tasks, like decipher 990 forms, for instance. There's no reason why we couldn't build a model to do that specifically, because that's a very one-off. But making it more accurate and better at deciphering 990 PDFs, that would be pretty cool.
mhm.
So anyway, I feel like I'm in danger of just being rambly. So is there anything else that you wanted to talk about or
No,
catch up
that's it.
on? Okay. I did talk to Conservative Garter, or talk is probably not the wrong word. We traded some messages. I was trying to convince him to find somebody to uh, get it so we could broadcast on Team DOGE these
Mhm,
live, and uh, they basically um, they can do it on some like Saturday evenings really late and like during the week really late. I'm not sure what
mhm.
the benefit of doing that is, because nobody will be able to see it. I guess there'll be some people, but I don't know. I don't know about your followers, but if I look at the times that my followers have engaged with me, they're generally on in the afternoons.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. Let me go look. Let's see. Premium is over
Yeah,
here. Analytics. Um, audience. Audience active times are the peak is like just what time of day is that?
Friday mornings seem to be the best for me.
Yeah, 1 p.m. on Monday. There's the peak.
1 p.m. on Monday. That's very specific. That's interesting. Um,
Yeah,
yeah. So I'm
that's when I'm most engaged.
I'm open for doing whatever time. It's like whatever. Um, if I'm available, I'm always interested in riffing for a bit, and we always need to catch up. So that's kind of what it ends up just being, anyways. So I don't know.
I think part of the fun too is that, like, we want to recruit people, we want people interested in what we're doing, and people like hearing us talk about stuff, and we're a little informal, and that's cool too. I think. I don't know about what other people think, but yeah.
Yeah, we can get more formal, but yeah, I'm railing against that. Um, so I will text you, or we could have a separate call later. I need to get some food in me, but about the private chat stuff you were sending me. So, but yeah, we definitely need to find funders and contributors. It's
Yep.
but
Yeah, and I'm going to reach out to those Oregon Doge guys because I had Grok research while we were talking. So
excellent. Oregon,
one of them is like one of them's a state senator. Both of them are state senators in Oregon. So
interesting. Well, they're your state senator, so
yeah, they're my state senator. Yeah. So
Hawaii Doge might be an interesting one as well. He posts a lot. So he might be an interesting person to, give him something to write about. I don't have a strong opinion of how much people should write, or I probably will have some ideas and what to, interesting topics to write on from week to week. And we'll probably get better at that,
Uh-huh.
like, different issues of the day or week that we'd prefer somebody to write about. So, but length, I'm not too concerned at this point. Somewhere between, like, I don't know, 500 words and 10,000. Some people really, really like to write long treatises. If they really want to do that, then more power to them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I'll let you go.
I'm getting
I
hungry.
think your dog is going after the cat.
I think the dog wants to go outside.
Really, really bad.
Oh yeah, they want to go outside and get the monsters. Monsters.
It's called Antifa. All right, bro. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Have a great evening.
Okay. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.